Madam Clerk, can you make sure that Alderwoman Ingracia has the link for this session?
I sure will. Do you have,
You can start the meeting.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Housing and Urban Development and Zoning Committee meeting for November 17th, 9 a.m. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cone? Alderman Kotar?
Here, sorry.
Alderwoman Boyd?
Present.
Alderman Narayan? Alderwoman Evans?
Present.
Alderwoman Keys? Here. Alderwoman Walker? Present. Chair Davis?
Present.
Alderman Cone? Alderman Narayan? You have 6 present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first order of business will be to approve the minutes, and the date of those minutes are, Madam Clerk, help me out here.
November 3rd.
November the 3rd. Yeah.
There you go. Looking at it and still couldn't see it. November the 3rd for 2022. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I move to approve the HUD's committee minutes from the November 3rd, 2022 meeting.
Second.
Been moved in second. Please call the roll.
Alderman Cone? Alderman Kotar?
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd?
Aye.
Alderman Narayan? Alderwoman Evans?
Aye.
Alderwoman Keys?
Aye.
Alderwoman Walker?
Aye.
Chair Davis?
Aye.
Alderman Cone? Alderman Narayan? You have 6 aye votes.
Thank you. You've approved our minutes, and now we can move on to our board agenda here, committee agenda rather. I have been asked to move board bills 114 and 115 as the beginning for our committee. And I have also rearranged, according to our normal practice, those alderpersons of seniority, they will have their board bills heard first. And so just for the record, Madam Clerk, I will share with you board bills 114 and 115 will be heard first. Board bill 108 will be heard second. Board bill 93 will be heard third. Board bill 113 will be heard fourth. And board bill 104 will be the last board bill that we will hear.
So noted.
Okay. So we have a number of guests lined up. And I guess what I'll do is wait to each board bill and swear in those speakers that need to be sworn in. I thought about doing it as a whole, but it's too many. And I may not capture all of them. So what I'd like to do is to have Alderwoman Peel, for Board Bill 114 and Board Bill 115. Alderwoman, you still have your, you're still on mute.
Good morning.
Good morning, okay. What I'd like to do is to have our clerk read for you the preamble on Board Bills 114. And then I will turn it over to you and the President and CEO of SLDC or his staff to help in presenting that board bill. So Madam Clerk, would you read the preamble, please?
Board Bill number 114, introduced by Alderwoman Tina Peel. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment authorizing and directing the insurance and delivery of one or more series of tax increment revenue notes, including RPA 6 tax increment, tax increment revenue notes, St. Louis Innovation District RPA 6 project, the RPA 6 notes, in an aggregated principal amount not to exceed $46 million, plus cost of insurance, approving a second amendment to the amended and restated redevelopment agreement, approving the 8th supplemental trust indenture in connection with the insurance of RPA 6 notes, authorizing and directing the taking of other actions and approval and execution of other documents as necessary or desirable to carry out and comply with the intent hereof, authorizing certain actions by certain officials of the city and contain a severability clause.
Thank you very much. Alderwoman Peel, would you like to present and then move forward with the information that is requested by us to hear from SLDC? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the HUD Committee. I would like to move Board Bill 114 to be approved. It is a board bill in which approximately $4.6 million of a TIF will be provided for RPA 6, and the petitioner, Cortex, wants to extend the expiration date for RPA 4 and RPA 8. At this point in time, there's no declared project. The petitioner is Cortex, the St. Louis Innovation District, and they are requesting this. And I would like them to explain and talk about their request to the HUD's committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you like for SLDC to give all of the information that they have actually done on behalf vetting this project and then go to the project developers?
Yes, I would like SLDC to begin with that.
Okay. President Richardson?
Yes, thank you, Chairwoman Davis, and also thank the committee here on the Housing, Urban Development and Zoning Committee, and then also recognizing Alderwoman Peel. Thank you for your support as we continue to move this most important project forward for the city of St. Louis and the entire region. So we're here today at SLDC to present the full analysis of the project as it was approved by the TIF Commission. And so now we're going formally before the HUD's committee and providing the analysis and other details associated with this project, as well as providing an opportunity for Cortex to provide greater details about the specific development and the future plans of the Cortex redevelopment area and their overall impact to the city of St. Louis since this TIF has been originated. So I'll pass it over to the Vice President of Economic Development Incentives for SLDC, Mr. Zach Wilson. Zach, can you please give the presentation?
Sorry about that. It's a little crowded in the room. We got to mix up on a couple of things here. So I'm going to share our screen right here. In 1 second. Can everyone see?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Zach.
Okay, let me get down to these two board bills.
Yeah, yep.
So basically, what we scored was RPA 6 of these 3 RPAs, because the other 2 RPAs, the projects haven't been fleshed out, and they will be going back to the TIF commission. So in this RPA 6, it will be 165 units, average square footage of 676 square feet, 1,700 square feet of retail, 12,000 square feet of office space. It's currently a parking lot, and with that, we have a certain amount of mixed units going into the 165 units. The Cortex will break that down further for you here in a second. There'll be 76 new proposed jobs at the site with an average wage of $73,000. And what will this bring to the city of St. Louis? Over 10 years, it'll be 1.1 to the city. 20 years, it'll be $2.9 million. And what will this bring to, excuse me, minority and women-owned companies? 40 million in construction, and 9.9 million. Sorry, in minority-owned construction. 4.4 in women-owned construction contracts. And the overall score for just this site is 3.5 million, 3 out of 5. Jake Nierup is here to go over the scorecard. Jake, are you there?
Yeah, thank you, Zach. So kind of the only thing that I would add to what Zach has presented here is just a little refresher on how our model works. So basically, we're projecting all of the tax revenues from the project, from real estate taxes to payroll and earnings taxes to sales taxes on retail sales, and comparing that to kind of a benchmark level for properties across the city that are under the same strategic land use. And so the 3 out of 5 score for this RPA of Cortex is by no means a bad score at all. It's perhaps a little bit lower than you would kind of intuitively think. But part of that is just because Cortex is such a densely developed area already, and because it does generate so much tax revenue per square foot compared to other neighborhoods in the city, it just sets a really high bar for this to clear. And I think it's important to think of this RPA kind of within the context of the rest of the district, because it is adding residential units that are currently absent from the area, and it's really complementary to kind of those more intense office and research uses that are already there.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Zach and team, for that overview of the financial analysis of the project. For further details on the specific development, I would like to pass it over to the Cortex team.
Could I ask for all the members of the Cortex team to open your mic so that I can swear you in, please? Do you solemnly swear and say your name to tell the truth and all the truth? Do you affirm to that?
June McAllister Fowler, yes.
Sam Fiorello, yes.
Jason Braidwood, yes.
Natalie Self, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Please continue.
Thank you so much. My name is June McAllister Fowler. I serve as chair of the Cortex Board of Directors, and I want to thank our Alderwoman Peel, for moving these board bills forward. To Chairman Davis, thank you for having this on the HUD's agenda, and to all of the HUD's committee members and other alder persons who are present, thank you so much. I think it is a an indication of the importance of what happens in the district that we have your attention today. Just a little reminder about who Cortex is. We are a 200-acre site in Midtown that is often thought of as, or I often think of it as, the longest overnight success in the city. Thanks to a public-private partnership with the city of St. Louis over the last 20 years, and really over the last 8 years, we have been able together to bring valued uses, new jobs, new construction, and overall benefit to this area and to the city as a whole, including the taxing districts that were before receiving tax revenues from land that was very, very underutilized. What we have done over the past year is completed a strategic plan that brings to life the other bifurcated, other part of the bifurcated mission that was developed when Cortex was both first started. You know, one was certainly taking this 200 acres and bringing them to productive use, but the other was to have inclusive economic growth, to have job growth that benefited citizens in our region, in our city, who had not been able to take advantage of jobs in our area. So over the last year, we have, what I would say, doubled down on our commitment to being an inclusive economic engine for the region. And everything we are doing, we're looking at through a lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because we know that what will change our community is for our community members to have access to good jobs. So we want to make sure we are a part of making that happen, not just within the district, but through the programs that we put in place that help people be ready, not just with training, but with training that leads to a career that allows them to take care of their families. Natalie, if you go to the next slide. So when we think about what Cortex has done over its history, our goal was to have 4 million square feet of new development. And to date, we have 3.47 million. So, you know, by that metric, we are doing well. You can see the other numbers that are there, but I just want to double down on the fact that this would not be possible without our partnership with the city of St. Louis through use of the TIF development tool. Again, if you think about what this area was before, it was light manufacturing, it was warehousing, it was things that didn't make this a greenfield that could be developed on. And so the development costs are higher. What we have used the TIFs for, and what this TIF will be used for, is to help underwrite the cost of infrastructure improvements that, you know, we just have to be real, are more expensive than if you are developing on a green field. If Jason Braidwood and his team were doing this project on a green field, you know, west of us, the cost would not be as high. So while we are not underwriting his costs, we are underwriting the cost of public infrastructure improvements. And Sam will share more about that as he goes forward. Natalie, next slide, please. Again, the economic benefits that have inured to the city and to our region since we got the first TIFs approved in 2014 has led to more than $9.8 million going to one of the most important revenue receivers, which is the St. Louis Public Schools. Overall, there's been $77 million in net new revenues. And again, you can see the other taxing jurisdictions that have benefited from this public-private partnership with the city. Next slide, Natalie. The other thing that we have continually measured is how we are doing on inclusion within the construction industry. You can see we mirror the goals of the city with 25 and 5 for projects. We have overperformed in the WBE space with 15% of those contracts going to women-owned businesses, and are almost at goal for our minority businesses. The same with people of color. We are almost at goal for that. We're almost at 25% for women, you can see. And then city residents is one that we are continually working hard on to achieve more city residents working on projects within the districts. And we're working closely with the construction industry for more apprentices of color. You'll see that we have started to outperform on that number, but that's how we will get to the 20% of our construction projects being held by city residents. You can keep going, Natalie. So finally, as I turn this over to Sam, one thing I want to make sure that the committee and all of the alder people understand about our request to activate 2 other RPAs. Had it not been for the pandemic, we don't believe we would be here asking for that board bill to be advanced. Basically, for 2 years, no one was thinking about, talking about, had any interest in looking at any development. Everybody battened down the hatches and tried to keep the business that they had going. So to think about developing and growing or relocating was not a conversation anyone was having over the last 2 years. And that's why we are requesting that we have those 2 areas, those 2 RPAs extended. As Neil and his team shared, we will go back to the TIF Commission when we do have projects, but without these RPAs being extended, the opportunity to use TIF for very important infrastructure and public infrastructure projects will be lost to us in February of next year. So again, thank you all for your attention and for the partnership. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our CEO and President, Sam Fiorello.
Thanks, June. And I also want to extend my thanks to Alderwoman Peel for sponsoring this, putting this forth, to Madam Chairwoman of this committee to give us time to present today, and to the SLDC, the entire team there who's really been helpful and tirelessly behind us. I just have a couple slides I want to highlight here. And the first is that in January, February, we unveiled our strategic plan for the next 5 years. And when most people think of Cortex, they certainly do think about the built community. The June showed you some data on square footage, but we're a lot more. And one of the things we've really elevated in the next 5 years is to serve as a key enabler in the talent pipeline, tech talent pipeline, with an eye towards more inclusive talent going to companies and having a thriving career. We have put some aggressive goals down to that end. You can see here in the slide, and we're going to work hard to try to get there. But I'll tell you very quickly, I was able to attend the graduation of the first graduating class of a group called Perscolas for cybersecurity training. Cortex helped invest $1.5 million to leverage a grant from the MacArthur Foundation that was awarded to Perscolas. So we got a dollar for dollar match to help set them up. They're establishing their presence here in St. Louis. And the first graduating class, although it was a smaller class because it was the beginning, had 12 learners. 10 of those 12 were Black. And going to that event on a Thursday afternoon and not only seeing the pride of the learners who are going to have a career in cyber, but their families were there cheering. And that's what we hope to do more and more of in this prepare diversity of talent, aspirational numbers. And we look at things like tech talent, cybersecurity talent, but also talent for entrepreneurs who want to start a company. And the companies that we focus on are heavily Black and brown owned and neighborhood building companies. They're not going to be the next Square, but it's going to be a husband and wife who are both CPAs and have been working for accounting firms who want to start their own business and just need to learn the kinds of skills that one has to have. So that's what this slide tries to show. We have the entire strategic plan on our website for anyone who'd like to look at more details. They can go to the website and see that. Next slide, please. So today, as June has mentioned, we're asking a couple of things, and that's the recommendation to pass Board Bill 114. And we're also the recommendation to pass Board Bill 115. It was already said that RPA 6 is the project with the most detail. We were the furthest along, and there were deep discussions with the developers before the pandemic hit. And so it's further ahead. And there's clear plans. As you know, it was scored by SLDC. We're asking for $4.6 million to help invest in public improvements for the district and the city. We're also asking for the activations of RPAs 4, 6, and 8. And it was mentioned earlier, RPAs 4 and 8 are less defined. And June mentioned that we would have been in a better place, but the pandemic, we lost 2 years of discussions. We have some really exciting prospects there. And what we're asking is to activate those RPAs, and that since we don't have the kind of detail we do with RPA 6, we'll come back before the TIF Commission with full details in the future when we want to move ahead with the program and ask for approval then. I think the next slide, we're going to hand it over to Jason Braidwood for the next couple of slides.
Thanks, Sam. I'm Jason Braidwood with Keeley Properties. You guys might know us from our previous incarnations of the Coleman Group and KDG. We've done several projects here in and around Cortex and throughout the St. Louis region. We are based here. And not to be so redundant, but I really do want to thank Alderwoman Peel for all of her support in getting us this far. We've owned this property for quite some time, and Cortex, as well as us as developer, have been very deliberate to try to do the right project here, most notably connecting Forest Park Southeast with Cortex, trying to really make a sustainable area across retail, office, and residential. We at Keeley firmly believe in mixed use, and pandemic, certainly caught up with us as well. But for the most part, we've been staying in touch with Sam's team, SLDC, and Alderwoman Peel very actively for 2 years. And I think we have a really great project to help kick off this 3.25 acres. So while we may have started on the office side, as June and Sam both have echoed, it really is a challenging market right now. And we're thankful that they have approved a mixed-use project. So what do we have? You're looking right there at the southwest corner of Sarah and Clayton, bordering on Highway 40. So a short distance down to our Chroma project that we were fortunate to work on a few years back. That's been very successful with retail that has stayed very well occupied and very well patronized, just bordering Cortex to the south. So what we have here, I think you can advance the slide, Natalie, if you could, please. Be a little bit better definition. There we go. So we've planned a 7-story building with approximately 150,000 square feet with 165 apartments and about 10 to 15,000 feet of commercial space on the first floor. What we call a building like this is a podium design. And we did that to try to make sure, even though the costs are challenging, to have a lasting development with a concrete foundation with wood above it. So a 7-story building, which we're really proud to do, and it's really kind of difficult to make the numbers work on that front. And because we have 3 1/4 acres, we're able to use surface parking for now. And then hopefully in the future, we can phase in some other development where we don't have to have surface parking utilized. But in today's day and age, that is the best way for us to get started on something right now. And we're fortunate enough to have the property and the support of Cortex to go down that path. In working with Alderwoman Peel, we've committed several public benefit aspects of this project to the city. For one, we've talked about the public infrastructure improvements that the TIF will support. It's primarily water and sewer and burying electrical lines, and then completing a vision that Greater STL has to connect our neighborhoods to the south up to the metro, up Van de Venner and Sarah. So there's a contribution portion of our 4.6 million TIF that's going to go to that. All of this is public benefit related. None of it is going to our project itself. And then we have a $250,000 contribution to the city's affordable housing fund we're excited to be making. And then finally, and most notably, Alderwoman Peel challenged us to do what's right by affordable housing standards. And we have 10% of our 165 units or 17 units, which will be affordable to those folks making 60% of the average median income of the area. So we're excited to combine some great public benefits and at the same time move forward with directly at least an unsubsidized project in Cortex. So back to you now, Sam.
Yeah, I'll be brief on these last two slides. I just want to show here the visual, just to orient you. On the left, it's a satellite image of RPA 4. It's Forest Park Parkway. It's the parcel that has the Goodwill building on it, and that we're in discussions with potential partners for some interesting stuff there. And the second RPA, the RPA 8, is north of Forest Park Parkway, and Laclede is the northern boundary. On the east, it's Van Venner. So those are the parcels we're talking about. And again, we can advance the next slide, Natalie, please. Just to wrap it up, we're on a tight time frame. That's why we've been pushing hard to move this forward. We are asking for the activations of 4, 6, and 8, with RPA 6 having the most detail, and coming back to the TIF Commission when we have full details on RPAs 4 and 8, and understanding that there is no blank check or a blanket agreement, that we have to make a detailed, compelling case when we come back and try to utilize and deploy TIF dollars for those remaining 2 RPAs. Madam Chairwoman, those are the slides that we have today, and that concludes our presentation.
Okay. Alderwoman Peel, before I go to the committee,